This is a very appropriate intro song, I will say, because the draft lottery is coming up on Sunday. Blazers will learn where they will be picking in the upcoming draft. And while we all have maybe opinions of who or whom they should draft, I think we're all on the same page. Brenden, we don't want no scrubs. we don't want no scrubs. Please, whatever you do, just do not draft any scrubs.
We're avoiding the Marvin Bagley in this draft.
That poor guy will never, ever, ever live it down. Thanks to you. You will, is that Minnesota?
The Kings.
Or the Kings. Oh, the Kings. Who's the other one? Andrew Wiggins is the other one you always bring up.
Yeah, but to live between, actually, still not even that bad, but DeAndre Ayton went 1, Bagley 2, then this guy named Luka went 3.
Yeah. And like I said, that happens in every draft. So this is what I want to do with the draft lottery coming up. I thought about it this morning. Because on Monday we're gonna have some reaction, obviously, here on the station, and we're gonna talk about it a ton on Monday morning. Chad and Dwight are gonna be talking about it Monday afternoon, and also be checking out on social medias for stuff that are gonna be popping up for instant reaction, because the ping pong balls, bink, 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 maybe we'll be bouncing the Blazers' way. But I thought about it this morning. When was the last time, in all seriousness, when was the last time where, let's say the Blazers get the number 1 pick, and we've all seen those reactions where a team is sitting there and whoever they send, right? Who do you think the Blazers are going to send? Do we know?
I think they double down and go with B. Roy again.
Go with Brandon Roy again. Brandon Roy got him number 3 overall.
Dame had him go down, so
Dame
I think
lost
they
the
probably
spot.
go to B. Roy again. But maybe Scoot?
I'd send Scoot.
I could see that.
But we have seen those videos where whatever team sends said representative, ping pong balls pop their way, they get the number 1 pick, and they instantly have, the jersey, right? If the Blazers got the number 1 pick, what's the jersey that they're going to be holding up? Because last year, San Antonio gets it. Boom. Wemby. Everybody knew it. It was the Wemby lottery. Not saying that happens every year, as a matter of fact. I don't think we've had a draft. Maybe Zion in 2019, but really 2003 with LeBron James was the last time we really have had a draft where you were like, they're not vying for the number 1 pick to evaluate. They're vying for this particular player. I think Wemby was one of those guys. I think Zion was one of those guys. LeBron was definitely one of those guys. Anthony Davis might have been one of those guys.
He was. I love Dame, but there was no doubt AD was going to go 1 in that draft,
Yeah.
even if you redraft that draft, which has Draymond Green. AD's going 1.
That was the Kentucky draft, right?
Yes.
Where everybody from
Kid
Kentucky,
Gilchrist, whole bunch of other dudes.
Bradley Beal went 3. But you know what I mean? There are some times where you want the number 1 pick, and you're like, sweet, we got the number 1 pick. Let's evaluate. And then there are times where you get the number 1 pick, and it's like, we got Wemby. We got Zion. It's the draft for the particular player. This one coming up, this ain't one of those drafts.
Yeah,
This ain't one of those drafts.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot, Justin, of 2017. So the Celtics win that lottery and go, well, 2 point guards, the top of the draft boards, right? 2 point guards are going to go 1 and 2.
Yes.
Their names were Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball.
Boom.
The Celtics said, there really is no way the guy that we like, this guy named Jason Tatum, is going to slip past 3. So they traded back from 1 to 3 with Philly, because Philly's like, that Markelle guy, missing link with Embiid.
Yeah.
Funny how that works. But you know what I mean? The Celtics identified their guy, and are they not Justin? I mean, I guess Donovan Mitchell exists in that draft too.
Mm-hmm.
But the Celtics are like, yeah, remember that draft where we picked 3rd? Yeah, we got the best player by a mile.
All right, I want to look back, and we're going to go from last year all the way back. Because first off, there's nothing better than just listing off names. Secondly, looking back. something we love doing on this show. But point is, we're all going to learn in time who is going to kind of become evaluated or elevated, I should say, and who's going to be in the mix for potentially being a number 1 overall pick or potentially being a top 3 pick. But we don't know anybody right now, which is fascinating that I think this draft is such an anomaly. Last year, Wemby, number 1, we all knew it. We all knew it.
Kind of knew who was going 2 and 3 too. Know what I mean? Like no combination.
Before the ping pong balls, we knew it. Banchero, sorry, Chet, and Chet's been playing well, but Banchero was going number 1 2 years ago. We knew it. Before the ping pong balls dropped, you knew it. Banchero going number 1. Cade Cunningham was the consensus number 1 pick. And redrafting that one, maybe Scotty Barnes might be. He's the only one that's made an all-star team.
Yeah, that draft looking a little weak, Justin, but hey, we know a little something about that going into this one.
That was also the COVID draft, right? There was a lot of stuff you couldn't do in terms of evaluation going on.
NFL missed on a few in the COVID draft, too.
But point being is going into, I remember in March Madness, the Beavers played Cade Cunningham, and it was like, that guy's going to be the number 1 pick. We knew that going in. For Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards. I very much remember the Anthony Edwards hype. He was not, his Georgia team was not good.
They were horrible.
But I very much remember all the hype going into that draft. Anybody else? Let's see. And that was the LaMelo draft.
LaMelo's decent. The Warriors
and the James.
They'll forever regret that draft. James Wiseman was, again, Justin, picked at 12. Tyrese Halliburton, one of the stars left in this NBA playoffs, picked at 12.
Yeah.
So
also Tyrese Maxey was 21st.
Okay, that was a good guard draft. That was a good guard draft deep.
But again, getting off the point. Point being is that going in, knew who the number 1 pick was. You knew it. Doesn't mean that they were always gonna hit. Anthony Edwards certainly hit. Zion, yep, that was the Zion draft. DeAndre Ayton, absolutely. Who was the other one in the DeAndre Ayton draft? Well, Luka went 3. Trae Young went 5. Of course, that's the trade that they'll be linked forever. But I think everybody kind of, maybe if Phoenix didn't have the number 1 pick, they, if...
In a redraft, where does Shea go? He was picked 11th.
In a redraft, he goes 2nd behind Luka.
Yeah, I think so, too.
But
there's some dudes in that draft. Oh, Jalen Brunson was a 2nd-round pick. Yeah, there's some dudes in that draft, no doubt.
But going into that draft, it was pretty clear DeAndre Ayton was going to be the number 1 overall pick, especially when Phoenix got the ping pong balls. Let's see. Continuing on, Markelle Fultz, that's the weird draft. That's the anomaly. That is the one of these things is not like the other. 2016, yeah. We all knew Ben Simmons was going to be the number 1 overall pick. 2015, Karl Anthony Towns. It gets weird. I forget. Was Anthony Bennett the consensus number 1 overall pick? I think he kind of was, right?
Makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. But yeah, no, it was so obvious. Everyone's like, oh, this dude UNLV, he's going number 1.
Yeah.
And he was out of the league in 3 years, 2 years?
Yeah, redrafting that one, Giannis 15 overall.
Yeah.
But then you go Anthony Davis, knew that. Kyrie Irving, boom. John Wall, yep. Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose, boom. And 2007, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. 2006 was an anomaly. You could have.
That you're right, a bit of an anomaly there. Bargnani turned in a decent
you could have,
career,
Brenden,
but yeah.
Brenden, you could have said, Justin, I will give you $3 million and 100 guesses if you could tell me who the 2006 number 1 overall pick was.
You didn't know about Bargnani?
And I would not get it.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, Bargnani.
I see it in front of my face, and I remember now. But if you would have told me at the beginning of the day, you said, Justin, number 1 overall pick, 2006, $3 million is yours, tax-free.
I couldn't have told you.
And I'm going to give you 100 guesses.
Yeah, I couldn't have told you the year. I knew he randomly went first in a draft, but again, who went second in that draft? LaMarcus Aldridge.
No, that was of course, that's the draft we like because that was the LaMarcus Aldridge Brandon Roy draft.
Justin's boy went third in that draft, by the way.
Who's my guy? Oh yeah, Adam Morrison. That was bad. Not gonna lie.
Hey, you owned that one though. You're like he was so good.
My worst.
You owned it though, man.
Worst take of all time. I thought he was gonna be a guy. I was wrong. Yeah, Bargnani. Yeah.
I think as you get older, though, because go back to like 05, that's not like you're getting.
Yeah, but I remember, because obviously Utah is on the West Coast, and I remember going into that draft, it was like, and again, NBA at the time, you needed a 7-footer.
You remember Bogut going first?
100%.
Nice.
And I remember going into that draft that like Bogut's going to be the number 1 overall pick. I remember him playing in college. Dwight Howard was out of high school. Then it gets weird, right? Because you had LeBron and Dwight Howard. But again, a lot of big men. So point being is, looking at this year's draft in the NBA where the Blazers could potentially have the number 14% chance? Is that where they're at? Or I round up. I think it's 13.6.
Yeah, so what do you want?
Blazers' chance to have the number 1 overall pick.
13.2%.
13.2. Okay, so I got to round down. So they got a 13% chance of getting
number 1.
Of getting the number 1 overall pick. But what's weird in this draft is, okay, number 1 overall pick. You got it. Who's the jersey that you hold up? Like, this is a weird draft. Again, you talk about it. This has 2017 vibes of like, doesn't mean it's a bad draft. See, this is the thing. Doesn't mean it's a bad draft. Because 2017, there was not a consensus number 1.
Couple All-Stars in there. I count
Jason Tatum,
3.
De'Aaron Fox, Lauri Markkanen, Bam Adebayo, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, pretty good player.
He is, yeah.
It's a good draft. We're not going to worry about who went 10.
We've had to say that twice in this segment now. Come on, man.
We have to address it.
I know.
I mean, we have
Can't
to
we
just
pretend
address
it's
it
not there?
and continue to move on. But
you're right. That draft,
but it was a kind of a weird draft. There was not a going in, hey, it was kind of the Lonzo Ball draft, to be perfectly honest, because I think a lot of people thought Lonzo Ball was going to be the number 1 pick. And I think the reason that Markelle Fultz, ultimately, he got picked by the 76ers, trusting the process, that was more the LeVar Ball draft. Remember? Because teams were worried about drafting Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo will only play for the Lakers.
And dealing with dad and the big baller brand and everything else that came along with it.
That was about the same time that LeVar said, hey, you take Steph Curry off the Warriors, you put my boy on there, and it would, no drop-off, maybe better.
Yes.
So we've come a long way in 7 years.
That might have muddied up the waters a little bit, but
just a little.
But when you look at this draft, number 1 pick pops up. Who is it? Now you told me it's Frenchie.
For Portland, probably. I think for everybody that's not San Antonio, Alex Sarr from France, 7'1" big man, probably going to be the move. But you could. Zachary Rissicher is another one who's at the top.
No idea who that is. Where's he from?
J.L. Borg, which I think is France too.
Okay. What the heck? Okay, can we have it?
Think.
What's going on in France?
What's France? I knew. Nice, dude. France. I knew my French school.
Because I'm looking at these draft picks, and France has not had a number 1 overall pick other than last year, and they may go back to back.
They could.
They might go back to back.
Nuts.
Which, I don't know what's going on in France.
Something in the water, Justin.
But
I think anybody who's not the Spurs would probably take him. Even like
if the Spurs get the number 1 pick, they're not going Twin Towers, Frenchies, or would it be Twin Eiffel Towers? I mean, that's
pretty good.
That is a marketing miss there. If they do, could you imagine the Twin Eiffel Towers? But yeah, they're probably not going to go.
Yeah, don't rule anything out. But if say the Spurs won the first pick, the best point guard on the board is a Serbian point guard. Again, so I just told Justin the top 3 players on anybody's board essentially are international players.
Yes.
Period. Like
Top American player is dude from UConn, 7-footer, right? The
Donovan Clingan. Then both the dudes
the Klingon.
Then both the dudes from Kentucky are up there, but they're
Reed Shepard
and Rob Dilling, but they're guards.
They're guards.
Probably not what Portland's looking for.
You never know.
But again, you don't
You
know.
had Damian Lillard drafted Scoot Henderson.
Maybe
I
trades.
mean, you don't know.
Yeah, maybe trades
What is
happen.
Joe Cronin thinking? Who knows when it comes like, oh.
Well, let me
We've
ask
got
you,
a lot of guards. What are we going to do the last 2 drafts? Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson.
Well, let me ask you this, Justin.
2 more guards?
Do you think that they are at the point now, and you told me this a couple years ago, and I think it's very, very on brand, but it's still a question to ask. Do you draft the best player or do you draft position? Because you look at it, the Blazers don't need a guard. But what if they go in and say, this dude is, Tyrese Maxey, right?
As much as I would like to continue to make jokes about how they keep drafting guards, you are in a rebuild, right? Rebuild means build. You do not have the benefit of drafting need. You need everything. You need everything. So regardless of whether you are the number 1 overall pick, 7, as far back as they could fall? I think 7, right?
There's a 2% chance they can fall to 8, but most likely not. So I'd say 7's most of the floor.
7 and 1 or anywhere in between. If you were the Blazers, you do not have the benefit of drafting need because you need everything.
Right.
And if it is a guard who you think is going to be, the next Tyrese Maxey or Halliburton or Jason Tatum or whomever, you draft him. And you say, and then you reevaluate and you go like, all right. But yeah, they don't have I don't believe they have a need. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
me either. I just think you need star power.
That's
what I think you need.
If you were to look
power.
at this current roster as it sits, right? This current roster, and you're like, all right, the Blazers are going to be drafting for need. What do they need? They need everything. They don't have an all-star. They don't have a potential all-star at this particular point. Scoot might be that. DeAndre Ayton could maybe become that. It's gonna take more, but could. It's also going to be tough in the West. Jokic ain't going anywhere.
Don't think Jeremy Grant's going to get to all-star level.
I don't think he is either.
Kind of paid like one, though.
Blazers like to do that. Well, and to be fair, we like to do. A lot of teams do that. There's a lot of guys out
We're
there
not alone.
getting paid a lot of money who are not making all-star teams. Do you know what I mean?
I'm looking at you, Norman Powell.
Yeah.
But yes, no,
that
you're
Ballmer's
totally right.
not afraid to write that check. So this is I know I say fascinating a lot, but this is going to be a fascinating draft because draft class is weak. It's like, no. Draft class is unclear, in my particular opinion. And I'll be honest, I just learned that these French guys are out there. But is the draft class is unclear.
To your point from earlier, Justin, you could. Now, this is worst case scenario because a lot of people have consensusly said, because like they said this is a weak class, but they said it's probably 2013. Because up until this point, 2013 had been written off as probably one of the worst draft classes there have been. I think there's only 2 All-Stars. Actually, three All-Stars in the entire
because you got Oladipo and you got Giannis.
Yep, and
Rudy Gobert also
late.
27 overall.
So my question with that, Justin, is it shrinks your margin of error because let's just assume it's like that draft. And let's assume maybe even the number 1 pick is not good, right? Let's just assume for the sake of argument. That still means there's no NBA draft, Justin, where you go, look at 60 guys and go, not one of those dudes is going to pop. One will every year. It happens. There's never been a draft where there's like, oh, yeah, just nobody came out of that one. Like even this one. Giannis still playing. Gobert still making a big difference.
By the way, CJ's still playing. Nerlens Noel's still playing. I think Cody Zeller's still playing.
He
with
is. He is.
He was on some playoff team, wasn't he? Or a play-in team? Anyways, but it is odd, though, that, you go into this draft, you get the number 1 pick, and you're like, Even, I know I said we were going to skip past '07, but like it was two guys. It was Odin and it was Durant. Like that was like, I remember Kevin Pritchard with on PTI with the face, like, who am I taking? And making all those jokes. Not so funny now, but this one, like, it's such an odds.
That was Pritchard
time.
that made that draft?
I'm almost positive.
Yeah, and interesting. He's in Indiana now, so he's still around.
All right, coming up next, continuing to talk some hoops because we had games last night. We have games tonight. We have awards being handed out, and everything in between. Round Ball Rock is next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, last night in the NBA, we had a nail biter at the Garden, questionable, I should say, officiating. That's where you combine questionable and officiating, go questioning. But questionable officiating. Did the Knicks get some home cooking from the NBA refs? And will that home cooking continue into Game 2? We had a blowout, speaking of Game 2, in Denver. No Gobert, no problem. We have guys throwing stuff on the court. We got Mikey Malone going absolutely bat-you-know-what crazy. Not getting a technical foul, by the way. And we got some awards given out. And there's still drama in L.A. All sorts of fun stuff to dive into. We need some Tash to get to Round Ball Rock. All right. Let's start with Jamal Murray. Is Jamal Murray going to get suspended for Game 3? He threw a heating pad on the court while the game was in play.
Probably
Now,
should.
I was listening to Brian Windhorst on ESPN earlier this morning, and he said kind of what I think we were all thinking, like, I don't know what the NBA is going to do because we've never seen this before, right? We've never seen a player throw an object on the court. Now, there's two ways to look at this. The officials already said that if they would have seen it in the middle of the game, that he would have been assessed a technical, not an ejection. So that tells me that maybe fine, but no suspension. But then there's the other side of it, right? Which is what is good for the goose is good for the gander. The NBA does have a policy that if you throw something from the court into the stands, now, granted, those are paying customers, it is an automatic ejection. We've seen it a handful of times, right? Guys, Steph Curry gets mad, throws his mouthpiece, goes into the crowd, which is disgusting. Could you imagine being hit with a player's mouthpiece? It would be so gross.
Dude, if you got Steph's
It'd
mouthpiece,
be
though,
so gross.
I'd
though.
turn around and sell that so quick, though.
Would it be worth it to get?
Yeah, you know,
it's
there'd be
so gross.
There'd be an obsessed fan. I'd take that L. I'd take that L. Like,
You
this
know,
is
like-
Steph Curry's mouthpiece,
You know-
Justin. It'd
You
be
know,
kind of cool. I'm not
You know,
gonna
like
lie.
in baseball, I don't know if you did know this, but in baseball, like sometimes a bat will go into the crowd, right? Like somebody will lose a grip and the bat will go into the crowd. But players are very particular about their bats. And so they'll want it back. And so they'll bargain with like the fan. They go, hey, they've got like, it's called a gamer, right? Where it's like, I need that one back. Here's another one. This is like a batting practice, a BP bat. You can have that. And here's a couple of baseballs and whatnot. And maybe I'll take a picture after the game, but they want the bat back. Could you imagine like a Steph Curry's mouthpiece, or not Steph, any player's mouthpiece is like, yeah, I'm going to need that mouthpiece back. You're like, yeah, you're not getting it. You have to bargain and barter. He tries to give you here, can I just give you, here's my backup mouthpiece. Like, yeah, no. This is a game-worn Steph mouthpiece. This is going on eBay tomorrow. That being said, there is a automatic ejection in the NBA if you throw something into the crowd. There is no real rule, because it never happens,
Wait, so
if you throw something onto the court.
okay, so onto the court or you say into the crowd.
No, into the crowd, automatic ejection.
So where was
Jamal Murray? The officials said they would have assessed a tech, no ejection. So is he suspended?
So this is only in-game, right? Because otherwise we would have seen Pat Bev suspended for standing on a table and throwing your jersey into the crowd.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is in-game,
In-game.
out of frustration.
Gotcha.
You know.
Makes sense.
I don't know about throwing a basketball from the bench into the crowd twice. We haven't heard about that one yet.
Quiet.
So, and then there's the third part of this, which is he could really hurt someone. I mean, so do you take that into play, right? You step on a heating pad, and here's the fourth thing. It's like an onion. There's so many layers here. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I think he was throwing it at the official. So we got a
Considering that
player on the bench. He was aiming at the official.
Yeah,
He was.
Considering that Mikey
This was not
Malone,
a throw out of frustration. He was throwing it at the official.
yeah.
And he threw a towel at the official earlier.
Yeah, I mean, considering that Mikey Malone nearly got ejected in this game, there were some frustrations. And I won't.
He was trying to get ejected. He
Yeah,
didn't
I
want to
mean-
watch this. He knew it was bad.
I do have sympathy, Justin, because it did seem like the Timberwolves were getting all the calls last night, and I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't be homered at home kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Now,
Were they getting all the calls, or was it?
they're playing more aggressive.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The officials early on set the
did.
tone that they're going to let a very aggressive defense go, and we're not going to call it. And usually that's the first half, right? The first quarter, the officials are right there, boom, that's foul. You know what I mean? They set, like, we're not doing that tonight. And of all the players, Jamal Murray's getting buttoned up by this defense.
But yeah, looking at the video again, Justin.
He's throwing it at the official.
Yeah, and I just saw it zoomed in. Like, to your point, one dude slips on that, you've got an ACL knee injury just waiting. And you saw, like, there were two guys who, in the middle of going for a rebound, nearly stepped on it.
And also, by the way,
Come on, Jamal.
Where are all these pearl-clutching, woe is the players, whiny media members who were like, oh, Joel Embiid had to play a game where he wasn't feeling the best, and that's why he got hurt. Remember all those guys? Oh, 65 games is too much. Where are they here? That's more player safety than the 65-game thing. My voice isn't quite back yet, so I can't do my whiny voice. God, that is a tool in the arsenal that I just don't have for the day.
In the spirit, Justin, we got you. But yeah, no, I mean, that I think he probably will be suspended a game, and if he is, I really could see the Timberwolves letting off the gas. Like, if they win the next game, it's over. But I can see the Timberwolves
Is it kind of already over?
I'm not ready
They
to cook.
took two, and they dismantled them.
I'm not ready to cook the defending champs yet.
I'm ready to cook them.
Like Justin loves
And by
to
the way,
say,
of all the teams in the NBA, the Nuggets
got to kill the king.
The only team in the NBA, Nuggets actually are cookable.
Touche, my
You
friend.
do cook Nuggets.
But no, I would not be surprised to see Denver go into Minnesota, hit all their shots, and just boom. Even
But
without
you
Jamal
got to
Murray.
win two on the road.
They do.
And they are going to be pumped up in the Twin Cities. Like, they haven't had this.
Dude, does Glenn Taylor keep A-Rod and Mark Lowry out of the building?
Interesting.
You think he does?
But
hey,
like,
game 3.
hot take.
Here's
Here's a hot take, though. Brenden, this is the most excited Minnesota Timberwolves fans have maybe ever been. Ever.
ever.
They had a
probably.
run with KG and Stephon Marbury. Never made it out of the first round. And they made it to the Western Conference Finals once.
Justin, I talked about that yesterday.
But this is something Timberwolves fans have never seen. And now you get a home game where you're up on the defending champs. You might be going to the NBA Finals. They're going to be jacked up in the Twin Cities. All right, I'm jacked up for hour number 2 because it's coming up next on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, it's 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. The New York Knicks take game one against the Indiana Pacers last night, 121-117. Barn burner at the Garden. Game two set for tomorrow night. In the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves now have a 2-0 lead after taking the Denver Nuggets to the woodshed in their own building, 106-80 in Denver. They now head back to the Twin Cities with a 2-0 lead. Pair game ones tonight. Celtics will be hosting the Cavs, and the Thunder will be hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Victor Wembanyama was named unanimous Rookie of the Year, having maybe the most impressive rookie season since LeBron. And coming up in hour number 3, friend of the program, Devon Pouncey, joins us live in studio. But hour 2 of Rip City Mornings on a Tuesday, which has a feel, starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Tuesday. We've got Make or Miss coming up in a bit. We have also got Get Off My Lawn. A lot of hoops to talk about in hour number 3 with Devon Pouncey. Has Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson, for that matter. Are we sleeping on Jalen Brunson? All right, hypothetical. Hypothetical with me real quick. Let's just say that Anthony Edwards was a second-round pick, like Jalen Brunson was. And Jalen Brunson, now he was drafted by the Mavericks, right? Drafted by the Mavericks and then shipped off to New York. Kind of pennies on the dollar. Kind of a throw-in, right?
Brunson? No, he just left in free agency.
Oh, he left in free agency. All right. So hypothetical doesn't really work, but you know what? Just go with me. I think my point is going to be established. If Brunson is doing everything that he's done, what's he had, like 4 games over 40 points? Something like that? I think he's had like his last 4 games are up over 40 points. If Jalen Brunson was doing everything that he's doing right now in the second round with the New York Knicks, the biggest media market in maybe the world,
In the postseason, Justin, he hasn't scored less than 22.
But I think his last 4 games, he's been over 40, right?
Yeah, he was 47, 40, 41, 43.
Boom. Now, if he was, because we've been kind of talking about drafts and draft past and Jalen Brunson being a second-round pick, if Jalen Brunson was a former number 1 overall pick and doing what he's doing right now, are we talking about him differently? I talk about this in the NFL all the time, but mostly in basketball, like, we get so draft obsessed and draft happy. Guys who are drafted early, we give them more passes than maybe they deserve, as opposed to guys that are drafted later. And if Jalen Brunson was a former number 1 overall pick and he was leading the New York Knicks, scoring 40 points a night in the postseason, playing tough, hard, like everybody in New York loves him, would he be a bigger star? Or is this more an aesthetics thing? Because you watch Anthony Edwards and you go like, that's good looking. Do you know what I mean? Like you watch, I'm going to make an analogy of stuff I know nothing about. So just bear with me here. Because I don't know architecture from my left arm, right? I'm not an architecture guy. But, you know, like there are like some buildings where you're like, that is a pretty building. And then there are buildings where it's just like, this building is built to function. And it functions perfectly. Like that feels like Jalen Brunson.
I think there's
like it's tough, it's durable, it's maybe not the prettiest building on the block, but it's going to survive a tornado if it runs through.
Yeah, I think there's just a higher burden of proof for second rounders, right?
I know.
So it's like, you know, you go back, like, how long did it take before people realized, oh, Draymond Green isn't just a role player, he's a star, right? And then how long did it take before people go, oh, that Jokic guy, that second-round pick, yeah, he's MVP, right? So I just
It even took a little bit with Giannis.
Right.
Like Giannis was in
he was so
in the
raw.
postseason.
He was so
Oh, he's a
raw.
Greek freak, but can he shoot? Right? Remember
Right.
when Giannis can't shoot? And
So yeah,
he's all right.
I think that's a part of it for sure. But yeah, I mean, number one picks come with expectations. Guys higher, and second round picks, you're like, well, if they hit, they hit, kind of a thing. So
I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah,
like,
it's fascinating.
what if Jalen, because you think about the stars right now in this playoffs. Jokic is probably going to win MVP, even though I'm still holding out hope that maybe Shea wins MVP. I don't think he will, but I'm still holding out hope. But so far, Jokic has looked a shell of himself in games 1 and 2, especially game 2 last night. The Nuggets are about to be eliminated. We've talked about the superstars of the league that are not playing. No Steph, no KD, no LeBron, no Jimmy Butler. What's going on with Jimmy Butler? What's this guy's deal?
that's deep. So to put it into the Cliff Notes version,
Yeah,
Justin,
explain the Jimmy Butler thing, because to me, like, I'm 5.
So over the weekend, Jimmy Butler was partying his face off down in Miami, which
Which is what rich people do in Miami.
looked like a really good time. I was down there. It's pretty great to party in Southern Florida. Anyway,
Do they got like the Vegas prices there though?
for
Or,
me,
or maybe you weren't running in those circles?
yeah, no, for like it costs for sure. I've kind of found that Justin, I'm a fan of that humidity, that kind of warmness. You kind of get more of the dry heat in Vegas.
No,
so
I'm just saying the prices. If you go out,
it's comparable.
okay, same stuff. Got
It's
it.
comparable
Got
for
it.
sure. I mean, drinks are going to be expensive.
$27 cocktails. Got it.
But yeah, so
Enough
he's
said.
out there, and there was this moment where he's chatting it up with a fan, I would assume, who ran into him at a bar, and it was outside kind of a thing, and he's got a Knicks jersey on, and all of a sudden, Jimmy Butler calls over this guy who is filming and says, hey, make sure you're filming this, and he goes,
By the way, nothing ever good happens after. Make sure you film this.
yes, and the clean
Hey, are you rolling?
yeah.
Make sure you film this.
Yep, and the clean version of it is, well, if I wasn't hurt and I was playing, the Celtics would be at home, the Knicks would be at home, and this guy who's talking to him, not the filmer, is like, well, no, the Knicks, right? He's got like a jersey on. He's like, what about Josh Hart? And Jimmy Butler like
Said
scoffs
some things about Josh Hart.
and goes, Josh Hart. Yeah, Josh Hart. Kind of like Michael Jordan with, Clyde or anybody else, like brushes him off and then proceeds to say, is this fan's like, well, you should come to the Knicks. And Jimmy Butler says, yeah, I'm never going to play for Tom Thibodeau again. That's a one-sided relationship. You love me. I don't love you. And then that was the end of the video. All that to say, Justin, that upset the Godfather.
And Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Because I saw the quote. I saw Pat Riley said, if you're not on the court, you should be keeping your mouth shut. Now, I thought he was alluding to you couldn't even play and contribute for us. I'm like, dude was hurt. But I think he's saying, no, you're eliminated. You shouldn't be talking. But, okay, contrarian? I don't believe this. I'm just throwing out another. Is Jimmy Butler wrong?
The Celtics is a hot take. That's ridiculous.
Didn't he take him down last year?
Was it No, he took down the Bucks. Well,
Didn't he take down the Celtics last year? I'm pretty sure I remember a Game 7 where Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat took him down last year because everybody wanted to fire Joe Mazzulla after that. My memory serve?
yes. 4-3.
I told you Game 7.
Yeah, 4-3. But
I mean, is Jimmy Butler wrong?
that
It's like the do you ever watch Big Lebowski?
yeah.
Walter, you're not wrong. You're just can't say that word. But anybody that's watched the movie knows what I'm talking about. Starts with an A.
Yes, I would say
He's not wrong.
I would say he
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's.
I
I
was-
believe that Jimmy Butler's got enough credit built up to where he can say that, and it's not like.
Can I say something?
It's not like Pat Bev talking about how Remember when Pat Bev said like over the next 5 years is going to be the era of Pat Bev, and it's like no, it wasn't. You keep getting bounced.
So
Jimmy Butler at least has been to the finals twice,
yeah.
and has taken down a lot of good teams.
yeah.
Just maybe drunk in a bar.
I would say that, like the Knicks, I get. The Celtics, and I don't mean to be mean-spirited, Justin, but it's just facts.
He took him
okay?
down last year.
So I'll start with this. There's a big difference, in my opinion. The Boston Celtics with Malcolm Brogdon running the point and Jrue Holiday running the point. And having no Kristaps Porzingis and having Kristaps Porzingis. Boston was great last year, Justin. They went to elite status this year. Now,
well, we're going to find out.
Could Jimmy have beat an elite Boston team? I don't think so. I mean, Boston had one game where they were like, hey, Miami, you hit your shots. That's cute. I mean, I firmly believe in Boston, so.
You could maybe see where, whether drunk or sober, somewhere in between, Jimmy Butler might have that mindset because he's done it before.
It's true. And I respect it for it. But in this case, Justin, like I said, the Godfather was not happy, man. And he makes he makes that engine go down there in Miami, man. Heat culture is not Jimmy. Heat culture is Pat Slick Riley, man. What can I say?
I hate heat culture so
I know
much.
You do. Yeah, I didn't mean to be mean-spirited, but
I hate heat culture
I know you do.
so much.
So what if it was reversed and it was like Blazers culture? You'd probably love it.
If that meant the Blazers had a couple of championship banners from
just like
after my birth.
Justin, just being tough.
Well, it's not. It's more than just being tough, isn't it? Isn't it? I don't know.
I think that's a big. There's a lot of it.
Here's the thing about heat culture that really drives me up a wall. It drives me up a wall. They act like it is above any other culture in the NBA. And last I checked, 3 banners. That's great. Chicago's got 6.
It's recency bias, right? 3 banners all since 06. That's why.
4 hang in the Bay Area.
Let me ask you this.
17 hang at TD Gardens, former Boston Garden.
And crypto. Yeah, that's a good point.
What are you? Heat 3, and you've established your culture. Stop it.
I'll say okay.
That's what drives me nuts about it. Is like you're not terrible, but
as a fan
you ain't these teams.
As a fan of neither team, which is more annoying, the Heat culture or the Patriot way?
Patriot way at least won 6 titles. I have to respect it. All right. We've got Make or Miss coming up in a bit. We've also got Get Off My Lawn, but might do Get Off My Lawn on heat culture. But before we do that, something that doesn't drive me nuts. Actually, it is the complete opposite. It makes me happy. It makes me excited because I get to tell you guys about Oregon's roofing, siding, windows, and bath experts. That's right. DeBella has got all sorts of stuff that you might want. Like I said, roofing, siding, windows, bath renovations. How about solar shingles on your roof? You could potentially pay for a new roof by going solar and taking advantage of savings to your energy bill and federal and state incentives. Plus, they've got over 15,000 5-star reviews on Google for the excellent work, received accolades for their customer service from Angie's List and Home Advisor. And you could take advantage of the no payments until 2025 on approved credit financing opportunity. That's right. So now is the perfect time to update your roofing, siding, windows, and bath. Contact DeBella and start saving today. All right, coming up in hour number 3, it's Tuesday. Devon Pouncey is going to be joining us. A lot of hoops to talk about, a lot of basketball to react to. Boy, the Timberwolves are, they're not messing around, are they? There are so many people, Brenden, so upset this morning and this afternoon, and I'll tell you why. I've been in this business for a while, nearly 20 years. And you're supposed to react. Something happens, you make a note of it, you get on the show, you react. But every once in a while you get in trouble. And you start rooting for something to happen so that you can react the way you want to react. I believe this is like, there are so many people that wanted the Nuggets to win so that they could bring up the Rudy Gobert didn't go to a playoff game to go to the birth of his child. And I mean, we talked about it with Scottie Scheffler, remember at the Masters? And it wasn't even a thing. Like his wife was like 2 months away. But somebody asked, and so he had to like respond. And Rudy Gobert missed a playoff game. Feels like the Timberwolves knew this was a possibility, and then they showed up and dusted the Nuggets in Game 2 anyways. There's so many people that wanted to get on their soapbox and be like, what would you do? Was he right to leave the team? Turns out it's a cow's opinion now. It's a moo point. It's a reference to Friends. I know it's moot. Nuggets are so cooked. What happened? What happened to the Nuggets? Anyways,
I'm not quite as ready to cook them as you are. I think game. That's why 7 games have to be played, right?
You're right, and I will also say this: we are going to learn a lot in Game 1 on how it is officiated. If the Nuggets' constant whining and throwing things onto the court and temper tantrums that they were, Mikey Malone was having a temper tantrum last night. Jamal Murray was having a temper tantrum last night. He was throwing things on the court. Just something that toddlers do, right? If that shakes up the officiating, then the Nuggets have a chance to get back into this one. But if Jamal Murray's not available, if he gets suspended, I don't know if he will be, but he might be. If he gets suspended and the officiating doesn't change, oh boy.
Now I'll say
Not
this.
only are the Nuggets cooked, but somebody left them in the oven a little too long.
I'll say
You put
this.
nuggets in the oven? You air fryer, right?
Yeah.
When's the last time you cooked some nuggets?
We make fried chicken probably once a month, so not necessarily nuggets, but like same kind of like,
But yeah, like, I mean,
strips, nuggets, same thing.
like they're frozen.
Oh no, I'm talking like literally making them yourself.
You get the chicken out, you brine it.
Put it in some flour, some spices. Oh yeah, I said that's the best thing I make.
This summer I learned to make fried chicken.
Yeah.
It was dangerous. I don't like that I know how to make it now. It's not good for you, yet I kind of knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah, no, I know the feeling, Justin, because like I joke with my friends. I say if I like all bets off, like I need one meal to impress a date or something else.
You go fried chicken?
Probably making fried chicken. I would crush it, man. Like
Do you go buttermilk brine or do you go pickle juice brine?
Buttermilk. I do really like the buttermilk. You know, that's
I gotta try the pickle juice. Have you heard about this?
I have heard of it. Never tried it.
Allegedly, according to the internet, which has never lied to me before, that's the Chick-fil-A thing, is that they brine it in the pickle juice overnight.
Never tried it, but that could be worth.
Then they throw it in the seasoned flour. And
yeah, that could be worth trying. Just last thing on that point, Justin. The only thing that comes to mind is 3 years ago, Phoenix Suns go up 2-0 on the Milwaukee Bucks. Everybody is ready to anoint. Chris Paul has his first ring. DeAndre Ayton's going to get a ring.
Yes.
Devin Booker's going to get a ring. Monty Williams, coach, NBA. Milwaukee wins 4 straight. So
yeah, Chris Paul's now in Golden State.
So granted,
DeAndre Ayton is now on the Blazers.
You know,
Monty Williams is the coach of the Detroit Pistons.
Oh yeah, like butterfly effects with that. Like I'm not saying it's the same, but I'm not quite ready to cook a champion until they're down 3-0 because we have seen teams come back from 2-0. It's rare, but
I don't know. And I do not believe in momentum from game to game in the postseason. I've mentioned that multiple times. But the fact that Denver didn't have an answer without Gobert there at home, back's already against the wall, and that's how you come out and play? Like, I don't know.
And that's where I wonder.
I don't know.
You know what they always
That's
say?
why I've cooked them.
Yeah, and that's why it continues to be so impressive what Michael Jordan did, what the Golden State Warriors did for a stretch, because it's natural. You just do not have that same hunger and just, I'm going to dive on the floor and throw my body at the floor after you're already a champion, like the hunted versus, be the hunter or be the hunted kind of a thing. And it's like last year, it's like Denver was not going to be denied, right? They were going to get there. And this year, I've seen Denver, I think, is still one of the most talented. I still think Jokic is.
Saying they lost the eye of the tiger?
Maybe a little.
Is Rocky 3?
And I think it's natural. It's natural.
That's just too much glitz and glamour, too much Aaron Gordon partying at the parade, and Mikey,
right now,
Mikey
Justin,
Malone getting S-faced drunk and calling out the Lakers at the parade. And it's like, you think that they've lost the eye of the tiger.
I mean, you're telling me right now, look me in the eye and say right now, down 2-0, that Jokic isn't like, my horses.
Well, and you heard Jokic after game one, which a lot of people kind of dismissed. But did you hear his comments after game one?
I might have missed the game one ones.
He was asked, like, what do you need to make? What adjustments didn't need to be made from game one to game two? And he said, they need to clone me and make more.
I did not. That went way, yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. Did he just say they need to make a clone of me? Now, I don't know if that was, again, stuff gets lost in translation sometimes.
Sure.
Is that meaning he's tired and he needs, like, multiplicity? Did you ever see that movie with Michael Keaton? Multiplicity?
No.
Under the radar, sneaky funny.
Seen Lost in Translation, though, Bill Murray.
Yes. There's no cloning in that movie. This Multiplicity actually had cloning.
Interesting.
But yeah, Jokic's like, you need to make a clone of me.
Yeah, I did not see that.
It tells me he's tired. And he looked tired last night. But we'll see. All right, one more nugget question. Let's say Mr. Beast shows up.
Yeah.
You know Mr. Beast, right?
Oh, of course. I'm not to be.
Mr. Beast comes to you and he says, Brenden, you have one sitting. Every nugget. Let's go McDonald's Chicken McNugget. That's the size we're talking about. Every nugget that you eat, I will give you $1,000. Cannot get up. How many nuggets could you eat? Mr. Beast style.
Yeah, give me a little bit of, like, is it just like normal, like I had breakfast and that's lunch? Am I eating up to the, like, give me some bit of context.
First meal of the day.
Okay.
I'll let you skip breakfast, but you can't, like.
So, like, when I leave the show, I could crush 20. I probably would not feel very good, but I could still eat 20 nuggets, I think. My head and my old fat kid ways that I had in my 20s tells me I could go for 50. I do not believe that is true now. That's a lot of nuggies.
I think I'd get 30.
Yeah. I
think about $1,000 though.
No,
Mr. Beast is there writing checks, $1,000 every nugget. You just pop and move on.
I would feel very confident, like, going and telling my family beforehand, I'm coming home with at least 20K, kind of a thing. Like,
yeah. 20K baseline.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that would be interesting.
I think I could get to 50.
Now, I would have to choose between, like, if I could choose,
it would be so bad.
Wendy's and McDonald's would be tough to choose between.
Are Wendy's
the nuggets.
Smaller?
About the same size. I just kind of like Wendy's nuggets a little bit more, but
I thought we said through McDonald's because that's a baseline. But like we know.
As you know, Justin, I'm not I'm 5'9", about $140.
Yeah, but you love money. You love free money.
That might be the best thing Justin said to me in 4 years.
I know. Well, that's the only thing. Like, I have tried to bet you food stuff on your love of Oregon State, and you'd be like, no. Feels like money is the only thing that would ever motivate you to do something food-wise that you don't want to do.
Yeah, it's true. It's a real big motivating factor.
All right. Let's get to make or miss. What's your take on Mr. Beast? Is he like super generous or kind of mean?
You know,
Because like he doesn't do that thing where he's like, "Oh, I'm paying for 10 blind people." It's like, what about?
so funny story.
And it's like,
Justin.
how do you pick? Like, it's kind of mean, right?
You know, I
Kind
find
of throwing it in the face of the other people.
Yeah, I think I think he has stumbled onto a niche that he will have.
But he also does a lot of things. Like he gave a whole village of free fresh water.
Oh yeah,
in,
like he does insane.
I think in Africa or something.
He does insane things. I saw a video recently that said just to get in touch with his people, you have to wait 4 or 5 months.
Do we know how he got so rich?
YouTube. So, listen to this, Justin. Google.
Okay, all right, YouTube. I'm looking at you.
Yeah. So Google.
Let's make me the next Mr. Beast.
So Google owns.
And I will shove nuggets down Brendan's face.
So Google, Justin, owns YouTube, as you know. Back
Yes.
in when I was in high school, they bought YouTube, and it was a big deal when Google bought YouTube for I think a couple $1 billion, and everyone's like, "Oh, what an!" And you know, and then now you know why. So Justin, YouTube has a partner program where, based on the number of views,
1.65 billion.
yeah, and
That's a bargain today, isn't it?
I learned recently, depending on how quarters go, Mr. Beast is the highest paid employee at Google. And he's not
because of what he
and he's not
makes
an
off of
employee.
YouTube.
Yes.
Got
and he's
it.
not an employee. So it's like to think that he's making like Larry Page, Sergey Brin type money, right? As a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing but respect because I mean 10 years ago, Justin, if you would have thought, yeah, you can.
But he's such an unassuming guy.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, it's it's clickbaity, right? And people like it. Like I watched one not too long ago where it's like, you get $1,000 every day that you survive in an empty grocery store.
Yeah.
And the dude made it like 55 days, and I was like, well done. Like I don't know, they're always interesting for me to click on, right? And isn't that the whole point, Justin?
According to CNBC, Mr. Beast brings in $700 million a year.
That would probably be YouTube's biggest partner if I had to guess. But yeah,
How long could you last in a grocery store? No phone. No phone, no TV. You in the grocery store.
That's tough. No phone, no TV.
Yeah.
Give me like 3.
Because wasn't that the deal? Like the guy was stuck in the grocery store, but he had no
it was
phone.
basically that. Like he was able to eat everything and all.
Yeah.
Like
Because you're going to survive. You could survive a year with food. You're not in contact with anybody.
is that 1,000 a day? Or are we going more?
I don't know.
I mean, if it's 1,000 a day, I'd try to go for like a week. Beyond that, I probably would start to,
10,000 a day. I'm just spending Mr. Beast money now.
You'd probably find me in the fetal position at some point, and I'd just go, did I get all the money?
Could you go 3 weeks?
In the fetal position? You'd find
3
me.
weeks?
Yeah,
The first 2 days would be so awesome.
I'd try,
The first
man.
2 days would be so awesome.
You'd be like,
I would be eating so much Cap'n Crunch.
go to like the frozen food section, be like,
Fire up the deli.
exactly, man. You'd
Where
be
do
like,
you guys keep the corn dogs?
yeah. So you'd have to be deliberate, though. You'd have to be like, all right, I got to start at the deli section since that food will go bad.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to be deliberate, right? Then go to fruits, vegetables. So starting healthy, Justin.
Because
Then
you'd have like all that, like the butcher, right? You'd have all that meat, but like, do you have a grill? I guess in the back.
I think a
you
safe.
get
Let's
to
just
use-
assume a Safeway. I think my local Safeway has a bare bones Weber grill somewhere to buy.
Yeah.
Like I think
And
so.
charcoal too.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say I can cook. Maybe not.
Okay.
Toaster oven might be tough. Real oven might be tough.
I'm with you.
But yeah, we'll go with that.
All
All right, let's go ahead and open up Make or Miss, Justin. A new staff means this is Chauncey's last crack at the Apple and PDX.
No, I think that's a miss. I think this is a new development for the Blazers. I mentioned it yesterday. I think everything is kind of individual. I don't think one coach left because got a better opportunity, right? That happens in coaching. He's lead assistant for the Nets, right?
Yeah, Steve Hetzel.
So Hetzel leaves. Scotty Brooks, I don't know because I've never talked to Scotty Brooks. Also, he's a grown adult man. I don't know if I should call him Scotty if I'm not like his buddy. But Scott Brooks, I don't know. I just am. It makes more sense than not to where it was like mutual. You came here to be mentor, previous head coach for Chauncey Billups to lean on, a team that had Dame and CJ and was kind of veteran, and you'd been to the finals before, and all of a sudden it's a new normal now, right? This is a completely different situation and scenario. He put in his 3 years. Go find a better job somewhere else, and I think he will. And then the Chauncey's brother.
That's a little different to me. That to me is slight bit of.
I think
know.
that, and I don't know because how do I say this without being mean? Like I don't know. Is it Randy Billups?
Rodney
Billups.
Rodney.
I don't know Rodney Billups, and I don't know Rodney Billups' experience. Your brain automatically goes to, oh, he got the job because of his brother. I don't want to say that because maybe he's more than qualified, and it's nice to have somebody on the bench that you know you can trust. But I just wonder if that's one where it's like we need every bit of development on this bench moving forward. And that's just the move we're going to make. I do not. So you take all three of those scenarios alone in a vacuum, it doesn't look like, hey, mass exodus, a complete gutting of the coaching pool. It's just, I hate this phrase, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah,
One guy got a better job. Scotty Brooks is not needed anymore because Chauncey's going into year 4 as a head coach, so you don't need a mentor anymore. And maybe Rodney Billups has found a better offer. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Or it was just like, hey, we have some ideas. And
yeah, I think there's different layers and you can go individual, right?
But I don't think this is a sign of like, hey, get it done this year, Chauncey.
Yeah,
I think it's a sign of we're continuing to change, and in changing of the roster, also changing of the coaching staff to reflect the new reality of the roster.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I wanted to throw this out there, too, because it was pretty funny yesterday, or 2 days ago, excuse me, when the news that it wouldn't be, the contracts wouldn't be renewed. A friend of the program, Sean Hyken, threw on Twitter, he said, here's a lasting legacy of Scott Brooks' Blazer tenure from when he was briefly acting head coach back in 2021 when Chauncey Billups had COVID. And it was just it was just a tweet from Sean where it says, Scott Brooks, out of context. I love potato chips and White Claws.
Heck yeah.
Then follow up.
My kind of coach.
Did some follow-up reporting and asked what his favorite flavor of White Claw is.
Yeah, this is where I can't get on board with Scotty
Raspberry.
Brooks. Yeah.
Not my
Grapefruit's
favorite
the
either.
best. Grapefruit's the best.
It is. I'm with Justin on this one.
I will die on this hill. Grape. If I had to. All right, let's.
But like, wouldn't it be fun to crush some White Claws and potato chips with Scott Brooks? Like,
yeah,
I'm
gonna miss that opportunity.
Scott,
and
if you're gonna hang in the area for a while, I would love just to like pick your brain on so many different things. I'll bring the White Claws.
I don't want to pick your brain at all. You know what I want? I just want to have some chips and White Claws. Just hang out with the boys.
Sounds like Justin's the more fun hangout. I'd be the more.
You want to do all this basketball nerd stuff? We're like, no, let's get some. All right, we're never going to be able to have this conversation again. So let's do this as we wrap up Make or Miss. Perfect chip claw combo. I would go, because while I think grapefruit is my favorite, I think Doritos, cheddar cheese, like nacho cheese Doritos with the black cherry. Black cherry White Claw, nacho cheese Doritos. It reminds me of 7-Eleven as a kid when I would get a wild cherry Slurpee and a bag of chips.
That's pretty good.
Now I'd make it adult and add a wild cherry White Claw or black cherry White Claw.
Yeah. Shout out Thomas Rhett, the black cherry White Claw. But see Justin's singing along to it too. It's such a good song. Anything cold, folks, listen to it. Yeah, I would go black cherry or grapefruit, but I'm gonna switch Ruffles cheddar and sour cream.
Those are the GOAT.
They're my favorite by bar
By the way,
none.
Have you had the Ruffles jalapeno?
Is that the LeBron's?
I think they're sour cream and jalapeno.
That's not the LeBron's mix, right?
No.
I've tried that one, but not
sour cream and jalapeno, I think. It was so good. All right. Coming up next, it's time to get off my lawn. That's right. Grumpy Old Man takes to wrap up hour number 2 next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up hour number 2. And feels like weather's about ready to turn on us in a good way. Yesterday was terrible. Today going to be cloudy. Then the sunshine's going to be showing up, and it's going to be very nice this weekend, and everybody's going to be out and about, and very excited about that. But
I think it's going to be one more fake summer, Justin.
you think so?
I think we're going to get the 80s this weekend. We might get one more dabble of rain, and then by Memorial Day, it'll start to turn.
You think so?
I think. Now,
Because usually, like, the whole rule in the great state of Oregon, especially in the valley,
June, right?
whether it is the Willamette Valley or the Umpqua Valley or the Rogue Valley, as you go all the way down, is nothing outside can be trusted until 4th of July. Right?
You're not wrong.
Something
Even
about
still, you're right.
something about the birth of America. We just go like, yep, turn the water off. Because there's been June. It's called June gloom,
Yep.
right? And graduation ceremony. Was your graduation ceremony outside?
It was. So mine.
Did it rain?
So mine, beautiful. 2 years later, or excuse me, 4 years later, my sister's downpour. This year, my brother, we're waiting to see if it's going to be a downpour again.
All right.
So, and at that point, that was like June 14th. And it poured so much the day of my sister's graduation. I was like, is it?
Did they go on with the thing?
Oh, yeah. People were soaked. It was out in the football stadium. So part of it was covered.
Did you have ponchos? Did you got to go with like the ponchos?
I just remember all my
Were people
clothes.
wearing like their cap and gown and then like their Columbia jacket over it?
I think like the students were under a tent, if I remember correctly. But it was like one of those things where like people were like, oh, yeah, bring like an umbrella or towel. And just everything. Like it rained for like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Like it was so wet. So, yeah, well.
So
you're
that
right.
means-
We'll have to wait and see, but I'm positive, Justin.
But we're going to live in the moment, though. And in the moment, at least it's a little cloudy today. It's going to be nice this week and then this weekend. But because it is Tuesday, because it is still cloudy, because it's not sunny quite yet, and we're not quite there yet in terms of getting the week really rolling towards the weekend, it is time for you all to embrace your inner grumpy along with myself and get off my lawn. All right, grumpy old man take. Old man confession. I've said this multiple times on the show. Brenden, every night after dinner, I pour myself a drink. I sit down before we start watching TV shows or games. I watch an episode of Jeopardy. I watch an episode of Jeopardy every single night. I love playing Jeopardy. It is my favorite game show of all time. R.I.P. Alex, we miss you. But to the Jeopardy contestants who skip around the board and start at the $1,000 in the Jeopardy round and the $2,000 questions in the double Jeopardy round, you can all get off my lawn. That's right. I know that from a financial standpoint and from a game strategy standpoint, that the thing you want is more money in on your board by the time you hit the daily double, so that if you hit the daily double somewhat early, you can still bet somewhat big. That being said, you know what? There's a lot of people playing alongside at home. And people playing alongside at home, we want you to go to the top of the category and go down. Now, I'm not saying you have to finish it if you get it and you say, this isn't my category, but I might have gotten one, and you want to go to another category, but you should just go to the top, the $200 question in regular Jeopardy, $400 question in double Jeopardy, and just work your way down. So, to all of the people who start at the bottom, or even worse, the ones who jump around the board, 800, 400, 600, a different category. You all need to get off my lawn. I have often said, society lost its way with certain events. Nope, not events you're thinking of. Certain things is when society lost its way. I'll tell you what. One of them, when NBA players started giving high five for missed free throws. We lost our way as a society. When we started giving high fives to NBA players for missing free throws, we've lost our way as a society. I'm all for being good teammates, and I'm all for good sportsmanship. But you missed a free throw. You don't get a high five from me. If anything, you get a kick in the backside. That's one of the things. And the moment Jeopardy contestants started going at the bottom and skipping around the board. We lost our way as a society. We can talk about political things. We can talk about elected officials and international things that everybody's... No. We lost our way as a society when we started giving high fives to missed free throws and when Jeopardy contestants started skipping around the board instead of starting with one. You know what, Brenden? It's a commitment. It just once again shows we can't commit to anything. And the attention span of the contestants on Jeopardy. We're like, I am bored with this category. Well, I'm not. I'm actually at home, and I'm rolling right now. So, how about, nerds, we start at the top, and we go down to the bottom, like we used to. Alex wouldn't stand for this. Ken's getting pushed around. I don't have proof, but I'd be willing to bet during one of the commercial breaks, Alex would walk over there and be like, listen here, nerds. We start at the top, and we make our way down to the bottom. There's a reason why we go top, bottom, left, right. We put the board there for a reason, not so you can hippity hop all over it. So, to the Jeopardy contestants, I'm losing my voice because I'm steamed about this, who are hopping around the board. Also, by the way, if you're like a 3-time champion and you want to go to the smart kid, nerdy answers first, fine. But when you're a brand new contestant and you immediately just go to the bottom, like, oh, $2,000 question, please. Like, you ain't ready for that, kid. Win a couple first. Build up some cred. So, to the Jeopardy contestants who skip around the board, and more infuriating, the ones who start at the super hard question. Let me build up some momentum here. Right? I'm trying to get a rhythm. All of you can get off my lawn. Oh. Brenden, are you aware of this going on in Jeopardy? These nerds hopping all over the board?
I've kind of seen it. I don't watch Jeopardy as much as you do.
Right.
Respect, though. I will watch if it's on, but I don't search for it quite like you do.
I love it. It's my favorite.
but
Even,
yeah,
even
like-
with the nerds ruining it with the jumping around the board, I love it. I love it so much.
The hippity hop nature of it would kind of be. I've seen that a couple times. It's not the best.
Words that end in ly, we're going to start at the top. Happily, right? And then we're going to move all the way down. No. You're going to go right to the $1,000 question to start off the round? Let me get warmed up here a little bit. Because it's not just about you three, even though, dreams are on the line, money is on the line, and I'm just sitting on my couch trying to, get ready to wind down the night. But, yeah, I see what you're doing, and let me just tell you, I don't like it. Time to get off my lawn. You know who I will not yell to get off my lawn? Our good friend, Devon Pouncey, is going to be joining us live in studio next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Justin Myers with you. New York Knicks take game one against the Indiana Pacers last night, 121-117 at Madison Square Garden. Game two set for tomorrow night. Over in the West, Minnesota Timberwolves take an impressive 2-0 lead on the defending champion Denver Nuggets with a whooping 106-80 in Denver. Minnesota now have a 2-0 lead. Pair game ones tonight. Celtics will be hosting the Cavs, and the Thunder will be hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Other NBA news, Victor Wembanyama, the unanimous vote to win Rookie of the Year. Coming up next, friend of the program, Devon Pouncey, joins the show. Tons of hoops talk in hour number 3, and we start right now on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Very excited to welcome in our good friend of the program. Due to circumstances being circumstantial, he's going to be joining us on the phone. We've got the technology, so let's welcome back to the show our good friend, our basketball analyst, but you know him from the Rip City Remix, also from the Portland State Vikings and the Wake Up and Win podcast. Devon Pouncey back on the big show. Morning, Pounce. How we doing?
My man, doing well. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Got a lot of hoops to talk to you about.
Indeed.
Let's start, and I feel like I'm just going to start this way every week until it's just not a thing, which is you get to take yet another victory lap on Anthony Edwards, because
That's right.
I have told everybody that listens to this show while you were on and when you're not on, first guy to ever tell me Anthony Edwards is going to be a guy was you. You were on it early. There were a lot of people that weren't buying the Anthony Edwards draft when he was number 1 overall a handful of years ago. And now here we sit. Michael Jordan comparisons. Brenden threw out a hot take earlier today that he might be making an argument that he might be the best player in the world right now. Now, we got a ways to go, but you called it 2 years ago, and I'm going to let you yet again take another victory lap on Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, at this point, we need to have Michael Jordan go take a DNA test, because this dude, Anthony Edwards, not only is he play like him, but he kind of looks like him too. So it's like,
well, let you say that. You can say that. I don't know if I can say that.
I said it is what it is. The memes are there. The side-by-sides are all over the internet. Just Google it. You might be able to understand what it is that I'm saying when I say that. But, no, he's been absolutely impressive. And his team overall, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I mean, they haven't just been playing great basketball, but they've been playing convincing basketball. And what I mean by that is everything they do with purpose. They do with intent. They don't take a possession off defensively yesterday. It was just an absolute clinic. It was almost as if they knew everything that the Denver Nuggets were going to try to do prior to the Denver Nuggets doing it. They had a great game plan coming in. Their rotations were phenomenal. They sat down defensively. They could test every shot. And, again, they just don't take a possession off, and that led to ultimately the Denver Nuggets, who we are used to seeing the best team in the world, and have a guy like Joker, who's having a claim as the best player in the world. They haven't even been able to get any rhythm against this Minnesota team, and this was without Gobert last night as well, who obviously was out for, having his firstborn child, or newborn, either way. But this team has been impressive. And Anthony Edwards just continues to be that dude. And I think at this point, I don't even care if he wins the championship this year. But if he beats the Denver Nuggets, and they beat the Denver Nuggets in this series, which right now they seem to be well on their way, we got to crown him the face of the league, period. I think he still had to go through Joker and the defending champs to become that. And, again, winning 2 games on the road in an environment like Denver, which is arguably the toughest environment to play in, obviously good fan base and everything, and the elevation and all the elements that go into it. If he clears Joker in the Denver Nuggets, I think we got to consider this guy the face of the NBA at that point.
Well, and, we were talking about it this morning. You and I have talked about it multiple times, that it was a discussion, and I think in the back of a lot of basketball fans, I'll be honest, there's a bit of a worry, which was, are are Europeans coming to take over the NBA? And
Yeah.
it sounds bad to say it out loud, but I think that's a worry that a lot of basketball fans have, but maybe won't admit. Is like, are the Euros now, like Wemby's the Rookie of the Year, Jokic probably going to be MVP. Embiid was MVP last year. Giannis had his run. You look at Luka. You look at this upcoming draft, right? 2 French guys right there at the top of the draft. It's going to be, I think, a very international heavy draft. And there was, I think, a sentiment that, like, all right, has European basketball and the way that they bring players up, the way that they develop players in their youth programs, is it now being is it overshadowing American basketball with AAU and all the kind of, and as we were seeing in these playoffs, well, still got Anthony Edwards, still got Tyrese Halliburton, still got Jalen Brunson, still got Jason Tatum. You know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's Canadian. We'll still take him, right? He's right over the border. When you kind of look at the way it's going right now, I think it's going to be kind of a fun era in the NBA where you're going to have room for international players, European players, and the American players. There's plenty of good young American players. We're seeing them play right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's great that the young American players are stepping up, quite frankly. Hey, it's still the NBA. It's an American league, for crying out loud. I mean, we can have these conversations and not be uncomfortable about it, but we can also acknowledge the growth of the game and how the game is growing and guys are progressing from, you know, across the water as well. And I think ultimately it's great to be able to have sort of this, you know, this mix of European players and guys that are not American-born players that are coming and essentially infiltrating the NBA for all the right reasons because they're playing phenomenal basketball. But then you got the Anthony Edwards, the Jalen Brunsons, the Jason Tatums, as you mentioned, that are trying to take pride in what the NBA has been all along, especially considering we're in 2024. We got an Olympic year coming up right now. I think this reckoning is ultimately kind of good for the game overall as we obviously go through these here playoffs right now and get ready for the Paris Olympics, you know, later on down the line in this summer. So I think all the way around it's good for the game at large, but I do believe that there is still an element where we here in America want to reign supreme when it comes to what it is that we've always been historically when it comes to the game of basketball. And that's okay. We can have the growth, but also still want to be the best because at the end of the day, this sport is all about competition. So I think having this healthy competition that we have right now within the sport, especially in an era that gets so criticized for maybe not being as competitive for like other reasons when you talk about rule changes and physicality and things of the like, I think that this is actually needed for today's game to be able to show like, no, the game is as good as it's ever been right now globally, but we still here in America take pride in trying to be the best at this sport and being the leader at what this sport is all about. And so I think it's made for healthy competition, and it's showing right now here in this NBA postseason.
Devon Pouncey, our basketball analyst, friend of the program, joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I asked Brenden this last hour. I'm going to ask you this. Just kind of a fun what if, because I agree with you. Anthony Edwards on his way right now to being the face of the league. He is talented, he's winning, and he's fun to watch, right? You got to have both. Also, kind of comes with him, he was a number 1 overall draft pick and came in with some expectation and is now kind of living up to it. If Jalen Brunson, by the way, Pounce, who has just played 4 games where he's dropped 40-plus points and is taking the New York Knicks to the highest heights they've had since the 90s, he's a second-round pick. If Jalen Brunson was a top 5 pick, would we be looking at him differently than we are? Because I think he is getting recognized, but I don't think he's being elevated to the superstar level, but he certainly seems to be playing like it.
Oh, he's playing like a superstar, absolutely. But I think it's a little bit more than that. I think, you know, yes, you're right. You know, I think he's kind of arrived on the scene as a superstar this season. I think, you know, because of Ant's potential, because, like you said, him being the number 1 overall draft pick, a lot of us still kind of had this expectation of him to be this. So we shouldn't be surprised. We just didn't know if it was going to actually come to fruition. Well, now it's happening. With Jalen Brunson, we are all surprised at him being able to play to the level he's playing at. Obviously has had a solid career, has been a good number 2 or 3 option or so, if you will, playing, in Dallas alongside Luka. Kind of came over to New York, got his own team. A lot of people thought he got paid too much, and now everybody is looking around and saying, oh, my gosh, the New York Knicks got an absolute steal in Jalen Brunson after he got a $100 million deal leaving Dallas to go to New York. But I do believe what can kind of catapult him into superstardom, if he wants to, beyond just what he's doing within the confines of the game, is that he's in New York and he's got every superstar in the world, in America at least, that's coming to Madison Square Garden night in and night out in these playoffs, sitting courtside, wearing orange, white, and blue, and absolutely repping for the New York Knicks, and he's become the face of that franchise. So although I think, it's been a little bit of a slow rise to superstardom, and his play matches what a superstar should look like, I think, there's an element that, he's more on the quiet side. He hasn't really been expected to be the face of the league. That maybe gives you some hesitation from actually calling him a superstar. But doing what he's doing in New York, I think will ultimately, if he continues to do this postseason, catapult him into superstardom. And my goodness, it's been impressive to see what he's been doing on the floor. I mean, he's been an absolute bulldog out there, man, like just relentless. And, I think, that New York crowd and those New York vibes will definitely catapult him. If they just end up winning this series and getting to the conference finals, which very well could happen, they're up 1-0 now.
All right, a lot more stuff that I want to talk to you about on the other side. We got games starting tonight because we mentioned all these players, but Luka's still in the postseason. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's in the postseason. They take center stage tonight. Also, ho-hum, the Boston Celtics are still there. The Lakers just fired Darvin Ham. LeBron says maybe J.J. Redick as coach. Got to get your thoughts on that. And I don't know if you saw the Jimmy Butler video, but we got to talk about the Jimmy Butler video. So a lot more hoops, Pounce, coming up on the other side. So stick around. We've got Pounce, basketball, and also you're going to have to explain to me this Kendrick Lamar Drake thing like I'm 5 years old.
Oh, let's get it.
Okay.
I'm with all of that.
That's coming up. On the other side, with Devon Pouncey, it is Rip City Mornings on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, welcome back to Rip City Mornings. Continuing to join the show is our good friend Devon Pouncey, as we got a lot more basketball to talk about. Hey, Pounce, real quick, I want to go back to what's going on with Denver right now and get your thoughts, because obviously the story is the Timberwolves. They had, I think they had the second best record in the NBA this year in the Western Conference, Anthony Edwards and all that stuff, but what's going on with the Nuggets? Now, I know it's just 2 games, but you lose game 1 at home. You get game 2, no Gobert, one at least get a split, and boy, did they just lay an egg last night. What's going on with the Nuggets?
They're rattled.
Yeah.
I mean, they are absolutely rattled. And I think, I knew they were rattled early on in the game, which I was totally surprised that Mike Malone didn't get a tech when he ran across the floor to the official and got in the official's face as if he was ready to go for blows. You know what I'm saying? And when I saw him reacting that way, which is not what we're really accustomed to seeing, I knew then that game was over and that was going to trickle down to the rest of the team. And it did indeed do that. But ultimately, this is just the worst possible matchup that Denver could have had in this postseason. And obviously, the team's a little bit different. When you win a championship, sometimes things got to get shaken up. Guys' names get a little bigger, and they go and make a little bit more money for themselves because they've earned it. But I think when it comes to this Denver team in particular, they're just absolutely rattled all the way around. They have a team that's more athletic than them, that has the length that they have, and they are just playing Joker straight up, which kind of sound crazy in theory, but it's actually working out for them. They've got a skilled big of their own in Karl Anthony Towns, and again, last night they didn't even have Gobert, but they seem to still have more depth because Naz Reid has stepped up this entire series and played really well in that front court. And then it's just nobody that can guard Anthony Edwards. And he's been playing like the best player on the floor because he seems to be the biggest advantage that either team has in this series. And so I just think all the way around, that team is rattled. We all know a second championship tends to be harder to win than the first championship. And they, I believe, thought that this thing was going to come a little bit easier than it has. But the Timberwolves are like, no. We're another year better, even though we lost to y'all in the postseason last year. And we didn't really have Cat majority of that series last year, which we competed well in game by game. We just weren't able to finish a majority of those games. That's why you lose 4-1. But I just think ultimately this is a matchup nightmare for the Denver Nuggets, and they are now expressing it through their frustrations, getting technicals or not. Like I said, I thought that Mike Malone situation was an absolute tech, and Jamal Murray throwing ice packs on the floor. This team is rattled, and I don't think any of us are accustomed to seeing this.
Devon Pouncey joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. A couple of games tonight, Boston, Cleveland coming off of Game 7. Boston's playing after that one hiccup they had against the Miami Heat. I don't really see much in this one, but Dallas and Oklahoma City is going to be an interesting matchup because obviously you got Kyrie. Has Kyrie and Luka figured it out? Because, you go back to last year and it looked like, I don't know if this is going to work out well. I had kind of a hot take 2 weeks ago when I saw Luka waving off Kyrie, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to work. I was probably wrong because it feels like it's work. Did Kyrie and Luka figure it out?
It looks like they figured it out, Justin. It looks like they figured it out. But that shouldn't be a crazy thing to say because you consider the fact that Kyrie is probably the best basketball player with the ball in his hands arguably ever in terms of just his pure skill set in one-on-one moments. And, I mean, the wizardry, if you will, that the dude puts on display night in and night out with the basketball is like something we've never seen. But if you think about and consider when Kyrie won a championship, he was playing alongside LeBron James, who a lot of us consider to be a point forward. I think Kyrie is very comfortable playing off the ball. Luka has a lot of that to his game as well, where Luka is a stat sheet stuffer. He obviously can score it at a high clip, but he's going to get you a near triple-double night in and night out, and he has point forward vibes to him as well with his size and his ability to distribute and play, make, and create for others. So I think Kyrie is actually in his element. The problem in the past has been Kyrie just don't be playing basketball like that.
Yeah.
And so now we finally got Kyrie, who's consistently played basketball all season long, and these two have been able to build chemistry together, and he's looking the best dang near that we've seen since he won a championship playing alongside LeBron James, who, aside from his athleticism in comparison to Luka, have very similar skill sets in terms of what it is that they can do at their size and being able to kind of quarterback and control and be the floor general for the offense. So I think Kyrie is just playing in his element right now, and we're just getting reminded of how great he can be when he does that. The problem in the past has been just having him available to be on the floor. But now that he's been available all season long, he's peaking. This team is peaking at the right time, and it's a scary sight over there in Dallas.
You know, we talked about last week when you saw that Giannis is out, KD is out, Steph is out, LeBron is out, right? A lot of the kind of old guard star power being eliminated in the NBA postseason, making way for a lot of these younger guys like Brunson and Anthony Edwards and so on that we talked about. But it feels like, Pounce, some of these older guys, they're not ready to give up the limelight yet. Even though they're not playing in the playoffs, they're not ready to give up the limelight quite yet. Let's start with Jimmy Butler, who in some sort of level of intoxication, decided that he wanted to have a Knicks fan come over and record him, and then he got a scolding from Pat Riley. We did the breakup thing last week. How's the relationship between Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat today? How do we think that's going?
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I think Jimmy Butler is being who he's been, and I think one thing a lot of people got to consider is like, and I kind of alluded to this when it came to Anthony Edwards last week, is Jimmy Butler is another one of those guys that you can't take the personality away from the player, because that ultimately is a gift to who the player actually is. And we know Jimmy Butler is a great player that has exceeded expectations year in and year out, especially with this Miami Heat team. When we talk about deep playoff runs and things that are like this year, obviously health was an issue for him, which was why, they maybe weren't as competitive, although they had to go up against a phenomenal Boston Celtics team. And Pat Riley, I think, is the same way. Pat Riley is who he is because of his personality. You know what I mean? That kind of Heat culture and, that kind of strict, stern way of being a disciplinarian, if you will, and not, being knocked off of his pivot. Like he's just been that guy. He's been around so much for so many years that there's nothing that he's not going to say if he doesn't feel the need to say it. And so I just think, this was something that obviously is newsworthy because it's Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley, but I think it's something that they both get past. I don't think Jimmy wants to leave Miami, and I don't think Pat Riley wants him to leave Miami either. I just think these are two dudes with somewhat bullheaded personalities, and them having that bullheaded personality is part of the reason that they've been so great in this game. And so sometimes you're going to deal with, issues like this where Jimmy Butler might get out there and say a bit too much, and Pat Riley is going to get out there and shut it down because he doesn't have a problem doing so, and he's not particularly like the player's GM or, he wasn't particularly like a player's coach. He kind of has a stern hand, and he's going to let it be known how he feels, and I think sometimes you'll just have moments like this, but those moments also lead to and have led to greatness over the course of both of their careers.
Man, the kids today, Pounce, I feel bad for. I feel bad for the kids. Now, Jimmy Butler's 34. He's not exactly a kid. But the kids today, like Brenden and even his like, you don't just get to go out and party and maybe have one too many shots of Casamigos and just run your mouth. And somebody's got to film it every single time. Now, to be fair, Jimmy Butler said, hey, get over here and film this. Usually
Yeah.
nothing good happens after that. But,
Fact.
back in my day, Pounce, we used to go out, party our face off, run our mouth. Somebody would talk about us behind our back, and then we would deny it, and then nobody has any evidence.
It's a new day, man.
It's a new day.
And the cameras are everywhere. You know what I'm saying? These iPhones, they got layers to them. They got a lot more depth than the technology has had in past years. And at some point, and I think this is the case in Jimmy Butler's situation, he just kind of accepted it and said, you know what? Bring the camera over here because y'all going to pull the cameras out anyway. Somebody going to film this anyway. So let me just get out in front of that and tell you to record me. And then you get what you got, which is unfortunate.
It was brought us a lot of entertainment, though. But yeah, probably had an interesting.
Definitely.
Probably had a bunch. That's when, did he wake up? Do you think he woke up and just his phone and he saw 743 notifications? Like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, he did, but I don't think he was tripping. Like I said, I just think his personality is a little different, and I think he accepted it right away. And he's going to move right along. It ain't like he's going to get kicked out of the league. So,
yeah.
And it ain't like he ain't played for other teams before and hasn't had his travels throughout this league either. So I don't think Jimmy Butler is tripping like that.
Devon Pouncey, friend of the program, joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, one of the bigger developments since we talked to you last week, Lakers have fired Darvin Ham. That's whoever they hire will likely be LeBron's 10th coach in his career.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of coaches. I'm not buying into the whole, does this affect LeBron's legacy? Because I ultimately don't think it is going to matter. But it is an interesting little footnote on LeBron's legacy that I don't know if there's ever been an NBA superstar who is broken up with more coaches than LeBron, though, shall we say.
Yeah, I also don't think there's been an NBA superstar that has had more power than LeBron James either.
That's true.
I mean, you even consider, Michael Jordan, who, general consensus is many people's GOAT. Like, Michael Jordan still played in the league under David Stern. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Michael Jordan was the face of the league, but he abided by a lot of what David Stern stood for. He didn't step out in front on a lot of issues that, some people criticize him for today that maybe LeBron James has stepped out in front of that may even be non-basketball related, if you will. But nobody has had the power that LeBron James has had, and LeBron James is the reason ultimately this league has become what many people deem to be a players' league. And so I do actually think that it should have an impact on his legacy. And the reason being is because he has had the power to do what it is that he wants to do more than any player, and impact decisions that are made on the people around him than any player has ever had in the league. Now, I do think that there's an interesting kind of pressure that comes with that, and maybe that pressure ultimately leads to you having 10 head coaches. But nonetheless, I think LeBron would rather deal with that pressure and have the power that he's ultimately been able to accrue over the course of his career than not have that pressure and just play with the same coach and not change the game in some of the ways that he's been able to change it over the course of his career. So I do think it impacts his legacy, and it's something should be said in regards to his legacy because of the influence and the power that he has had over all of these coaches in their careers, or else the man wouldn't have had 10 head coaches. like that, I think, is a direct sign of who he is and what he's been and the power that he's been able to have over the course of his career. And some cases you may say he's mismanaged it. In other cases, it's looked brilliant. But I think it's all encompassing at the end of the day when it comes to who LeBron James is as a basketball player and the figure that he's been in this league. And so he's got to accept the fact that he's won championships and has been the all-time leading scorer and all the great things he's done. Also with the fact that he's had the power over a lot of coaches no longer having jobs anymore. Yeah. I think it's all encompassing.
I would say for a long, long time, most coaches, anybody that any aspirations of coaching at the highest level in the NBA, would have jumped at the opportunity to coach LeBron James, who I believe is the second greatest player of all time. Regardless of where you got him, he was the best player of his generation. And every coach probably would have jumped to have that opportunity. Well, he's not that player anymore. He's now at the tail end of his career in a situation with him, Anthony Davis, a lot of money wrapped up, a lot of personnel decisions that didn't quite work out. Pounce, how good is that job? Like, if you were a coach and you were in the mix, would you want that job with LeBron James, maybe the possible tail end of his career? You still want it?
You still want it. It's still the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think in Darvin Ham's case in particular, and, not to kind of bring race into it, but especially if you are – it's not just race. If you are a black coach that usually gets bottom-of-the-barrel jobs to start and have to try to work their way up, or if you're a former player – that is skipping the line of the coaching grind and having coached in the G League and been a player development coach and an assistant coach, and all you do is media and podcast now post-career, i.e. J.J. Redick, and you want to skip the line and be able to become the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, that is very much so still a prime job and opportunity for anybody to take, because it's even with whether LeBron's there or he's not there, it's still the Los Angeles Lakers brand and one of the most prominent brands in all of sports internationally, but especially here in the United States of America. So you might have to still deal with a LeBron James at the tail end of his career, but that's still the Los Angeles Lakers head coaching position. And regardless of what your situation is, if you aspire to be a head coach, that's a job you just don't turn down.
All right, Pounce, we've got 2 minutes here. Explain it to me like I am a 6-year-old. You have children. Explain it to me like I am a 6-year-old. What's the deal with Kendrick Lamar Drake beef? What's going on here?
Okay, you have Drake, who is really good at making hits and adapting to a variety of sounds and styles musically that appeals to the masses.
Got
it. And then you have Kendrick Lamar, who is the boogeyman of an MC and can out-rap anybody that has ever rapped in hip-hop is history, as far as I'm concerned at this point.
Ooh.
And Drake is trying to play against Kendrick Lamar at a game Kendrick Lamar is far more ready for because this is a rap battle that we're talking about here. And quite frankly, Drake can't out-rap him. Drake can out-imitate him and go, make a phenomenal Afrobeat song, or, he can even make a phenomenal hip-hop song. Kendrick has dissed him about the Atlanta and the trap sound, and, Drake can go do a pop top 40 song. But when it comes to rapping and in its purest form, especially when it comes to this generation, nobody raps in its purest form better than Kendrick Lamar does. And Drake is playing Kendrick Lamar at his own game right now. And Kendrick Lamar is showing him up because Kendrick Lamar is just a better rapper than Drake. Drake might be a better artist, a more acclaimed artist, but when it comes to rapping, especially in battle form, he is dealing with the absolute boogeyman right now, and it has been a scary sight for Drake. That's how I would break it down.
Okay.
And trust me, the 6-year-old kids know who the boogeyman is, and they scared of that dude. And Drake should be scared of Kendrick Lamar because he's the boogeyman when it comes to this hip-hop stuff.
Also, I saw, and I don't know if it's fake because the internet's lied to me before, Kendrick Lamar's got he's got informers inside OVO. He's throwing out pictures
Drake
from inside the building.
Yeah. He's basically saying that Drake has a mole in his head. And now Drake is trying to say that they staged fake information, and they basically fed Kendrick Lamar fake information, which still don't make Kendrick Lamar no liar. It make you and your camp a liar because y'all are feeding him in the information. Justin, that's like if you think about it from a journalist standpoint. If you as a journalist go speak to the direct source or, a legitimate source, and that source gives you information, and you go report on that information as fact because that's what journalists do, but you
Yeah.
did your due diligence to get that information from the direct source, and then the direct source later comes out and says that they lied to you because they wanted to feed you false information to try to make you look bad. You don't look bad in that instance because you did all the things that you were supposed to do as a credible journalist by going directly to the source and getting the information that they told you and then reporting on it. That's not your fault for false reporting and not doing enough research. That's their fault for lying to you and allowing you to report on something that they told you.
Oh, now I'm more confused than when we started. But either way, we still have one more segment. Stick around. We're going to do Ebony and Ivory coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, it's time to wrap up the big show. Devon Pouncey joining us for the entire hour. And each and every Tuesday, we transform the RCM mailbag. We still ask questions. We still ask random questions of any subject and any topic. But more importantly, because Pounce and I come from different cultural backgrounds, we get to ask questions we've always wanted to ask each other without any worry of judgment or blowback, because we come from a place of love and respect and curiosity. And hopefully, maybe some of these questions, Pounce, are also out there for other people that they've been wondering, and we can all learn and grow and be better. We like to call it Ebony and Ivory. Here we go. Okay, real quick, Pounce, Ebony and Ivory update. On Friday night, went out and had beers with Tyson Alger, who I know you know.
Hey. Yes, sir.
Tyson Alger, who's going to be on the show tomorrow. He wanted you to know he is a huge fan of Arby's. Huge Arby's fan.
Hey, sounds about right. I won't say what I really want to say because I don't want to push too much of a line, but it sounds about a word that rhymes with right, but we'll just call it right for now.
All right, here's my actual Ebony and Ivory question. This popped up on my TikTok, and so I didn't know this was a thing. So I'm going to ask you: is this a cultural thing or is this a regional? Pounce, is Black people tacos a thing? It's all over my TikTok. Black people tacos, especially ground beef. Ground beef, Black people tacos. That's a thing.
It is a thing, yeah.
All right, help me out. I'm fascinated by this.
Okay, so you do have like the ground beef tacos that are seasoned really, really good. We still use taco seasoning. This might sound crazy, and this is one of the craziest things about us because tacos don't really come from our culture.
That's true.
But some people remix the tacos. For one, Black people, we add the sour creams and all of that. But some people, especially when it comes to like homemade tacos with a twist and not really like homemade street tacos, some people I've seen in Black households put ketchup on tacos. You might have saw that on TikTok too. But at the end of the day, ketchup actually goes well with ground beef. You can put ketchup on burgers. You can put ketchup on like meatloaf, which is more so ground beef based. So yes, I would say that is totally not how a taco is supposed to be eaten, but it makes sense when you look at the ingredients that get used with our twist on how to Americanize or Blackify the taco.
So ketchup is and well, so here's what I saw. I did a little bit of a deep dive. I got some time on my hands, and I was very curious. So I saw that I saw one explanation was it's essentially a remixed hamburger. You just took a hamburger.
Yeah, it's ground beef,
cheese, ketchup, tortilla instead of a bun. And apparently the ground beef part of it is very controversial because there are some members in your culture who do not buy in to the ground beef. They think that is trash, and others believe that ground beef is essential.
Yeah. It's very true. This is all true. Because, again, I mean, you're going to have some people that don't buy into it because tacos don't come from our culture.
Yeah.
So the way that we eat tacos really ain't the right way to do it because that's not our thing. And hey, there's a lot of things that do come from our culture and sometimes we don't get credit for, but tacos ain't one of them. And so with that being considered, yeah, there's people that think that it's absolutely crazy because we are going away from the origins of the culture of tacos, if you will. But then there's other people that's like, oh, put it together for yourself. And this is magic, and it can be an addicting thing because tacos also can be addicting in whatever form you like to eat your tacos. So, yes, there is two sides to the owl where sometimes we can look a little crazy for putting our spin on it, but also some of us can't get enough of our spin that we put on it. And here's the clash that we have right now as we speak about it.
By the way, White People Tacos is basically everything bought from the store, right? You buy the ground beef, you buy the packet, preseason packet, you buy the salsa mild from the store, shredded lettuce from the store, and the taco shells from the store. You just got to buy it all from the store.
Yeah, we frying them taco shells up though ourselves with ours.
All right,
we not getting the pre-packed ones that already come where all you got to do is fill the shell up. We got to go get some grease, heat up that grease on that stove,
that skillet,
and fry them tortillas up.
All right, we've got
part of the magic. Part of the magic.
You got 90 seconds. You got one?
I guess I just want to kind of stick to this Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing. And I want to ask what your sense of it all is. There's obviously been a lot of colorism when it comes to this, if you've heard any of the disses. But ultimately, I just kind of want to know where you stand on it, especially after me giving you my 6-year-old explanation.
Well, here's the thing, Pounce. I don't like Drake. I have never been a fan of Drake. I think a lot of it is the same reason why I don't like LeBron. And that is I grew up in an era of Tupac and Biggie and Jay-Z. And the idea that Drake is in the same conversation as those guys, I find ridiculous. The same reason that I grew up in the era of Jordan. So I resist everything LeBron James. So in that spirit, I am on Team Kendrick Lamar. Now, as an outside observer, because I have said, A, I'm out of touch. B, I don't listen to new hip-hop or new pop music in general. And C, as we have established, I am from Winston, Oregon. I have heard more Drake songs than Kendrick Lamar songs. I was not aware of his game, as you have said, as maybe potentially the greatest MC of all time. So you say, better than Nas. Better than Nas.
Better than Nas. Justin,
because this reminds me of the Jay-Z Nas beef.
Put it this way, and I know we got to get out of here quick. Kendrick Lamar is the only rapper ever in hip hop to have an album win a Pulitzer Prize.
Okay,
that should tell you enough. Nas ain't did it, Jay-Z ain't did it, Pac, Biggie, none of them did it. Kendrick's got a Pulitzer Prize for a hip hop album. We've never seen it before. We may not ever see it again.
Well, you know what? This segment might not win an award, but it darn well should. Because this was,
I agree.
This is fantastic stuff. Hey, Bounce, have a terrific week, bud. And we'll look forward to talking to you again next week.
You know it.
There we go. Devon Pouncey. This is Rip City Mornings. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 6:20, Rip City Radio.